If your toilet starts a rockin', don't apply the caulking. Get rid of it. Shim it instead. Hi everyone, welcome to Jensen DIY. Your toilet's rocking, you want to get it fixed. You should fix it, because if you don't, then the wax seal is going to start leaking underneath and you're going to end up with black water on your floor, under your toilet. Not fun to deal with. So you want to get the problem of a rocking toilet fixed. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do it. You don't want to caulk around your toilet to fix this problem. So here's the bowl of this toilet. This is a concealed trapway toilet. The bolts are inside here. That's the nut you would tighten up. Same on the other side. But most toilets don't have a concealed trapway. Your bolt would be exposed with a cap right here. Okay, so you would pop that cap off to tighten up the nut on both sides. Okay, but if your toilet bowl is rocking back and forth, then that wax seal in there is getting squished one way, squished another, and eventually it's going to start leaking. Okay, so there's a couple reasons you don't want to caulk around here. Number one, if that wax seal starts leaking, then you won't know and it'll sit on the floor underneath, and if it's a wood subfloor, it'll rot through it. And the other reason is you don't want to use caulking to try and hold a toilet in place, right? You want the toilet bolts to hold the toilet in place, okay? So I recommend not caulking around a toilet at all. I know in some areas the plumbing code requires caulking around the toilet, mostly in commercial applications, but I recommend against caulking around the toilet in a residential application. So for a rocking toilet, I use these shims. I think I got these at Home Depot, Home Hardware. I'm not sure, I can't remember. I've had them a long time. They're just a rubber wedge. And you want to try and place these near the back of the toilet where you can't see them. Find a spot where there's a gap. Usually the reason a toilet rocks is because the floor is uneven, and when it gets done up, it's not sitting perfectly level. This one is sitting pretty good. This is just an example. So you want to take your shim, the narrow edge of the wedge, push that into a spot where there's a gap. Usually you would do it on both sides. So push that in there, and then you would just take your razor knife and simply cut along the edge of the toilet, and there you go. Push that in there. And then you're left with that. You can use that somewhere else or just use a new one. A lot of times you're only using the bottom quarter or a third of the wedge. Before they had these, we used to use lead. Lead is malleable, and you could fold it up and put it in underneath, and it didn't corrode. It stood up to chemicals just like rubber does, okay? So I'm sure there's other materials you could use. Sometimes you do need to use them at the front, depending, like I said, how the floor is, if it's not perfectly level. Once you get the wedges in place, then you would want to tighten up the nuts on the toilet bolts holding the bowl down. You don't want to go too tight, but you want to snug those up, make sure that they're done up, and compressing that wedge even more. Sometimes you don't need to tighten these up, but most of the time I find you need to tighten them up a little bit after you put the wedge in. If you see signs of water coming out around the toilet, then that means you're gonna have to change your wax seal, and possibly the flange might need attention. But as far as a rocking toilet goes, these shims work really well. So yeah, important to get a rocking toilet fixed. Just remember, if your toilets are rocking, don't apply the caulking. All right, thanks for watching everyone. We'll see you next time.